People of power, welcome to Mount Fitness MBS, where I am your host, Minister Brother Mongoose, or Brother Minister Mongoose. I guess I'm kind of stumbling over my words real quick there, just because I want to make sure that I have a different type of opening today. So I hope you guys will pardon me for the verbal stumbling a moment ago. God willing, that will be the last time that it presents itself, at least for as long as this video goes on. But hey guys, listen, welcome back. As you guys know, this is a holistic mind, body, and spirit ministry. For more details about that, please stay tuned to the end of the video. But the difference that I want to make is just get right off into today's topic. And talk about the ministry on towards the end. Today is technically, guys, what we refer to as the 4th of July, or it is the 4th of July. We refer to it as Independence Day. Not something that I personally celebrate or commemorate, but it is something that I was born into, celebrating, when I was a much younger man, and growing up as a kid and all those different things. So I'm not opposed to the celebration, and in fact, I've been going throughout the day. I had a couple meetings and a couple clients today, and so I've been, family members, of course, phone calls here in town. I've been seeing them, and saying, just being respectful and saying, happy 4th of July or whatever. If they said to me, Happy Independence Day to a stranger, what have you. But the point that I'm making, guys, that it's in this video, we're going to talk about the only true independence. The only true independence. I mean, let's face it, guys. We all have these notions where we're inside this box and we have ideas, and we have, definitions that were given to us in terms of what being independent looks like, what it consists of, what it means, etc., etc. But all of that is basically smoke and mirrors if we're totally honest with ourselves and zoomed in on independence itself. I mean, if you can pay your own bills, if you're not depending on anybody paying you, anybody, we'll go there. Anybody paying you money, if you pay your own bills, you don't need it, a ride to work. You don't need anybody to buy your grocery, whatever. Does these things really, really make you independent? Even if you are, again, on what we would call the 1% of people, the 5%, the 10%, the well-to-do people, who really, they're not depending on nobody to give them money. They just got money coming in, residual type of investments, et cetera, et cetera. Even if you're that kind of person, Bill Gates or whoever, Elon Musk, you got these billions of dollars. Does that mean you're really independent? I mean, let's just stop playing with ourselves. If we stop and think about it, no one on this planet, except for the group of people that I'm about to mention in today's video, are truly independent. Because whether it's Bill Gates, let's start there, and these real wealthy people, you let that bank system crash. You let the checking system crash. You let the monetary system crash. And they'll find out a lot quicker than that how dependent they really are. They're not independent. And if you're going to work and you're looking down your nose at somebody because they don't have a job, because they don't have a place to stay, and you think that you're so independent, you let that job close down on you. You let them give you a 1-week notice and steal your pension or just tell you go in that day, we're closing, no 2-week notice, nothing, no pension, no severance fee, nothing. And then you go out there and then you're looking for what? You're dependent on what? Somebody else will give you another job. So let's just stop this already. And all of us, including myself, are dependent on just day-to-day things like, okay, you're independent, huh? Okay. Well, let's see how independent you are when you go to that gas station and there's no gas. Let's see how independent you are when those trucks and those ships stop coming in, bringing all the food and the clothing and the oils and all those different things that we need just to live on. So we got to stop this, man. And again, I'm using that to just set the table to where I'm going today. We're going to be talking about the only true independence is the independence of soul. S-O-U-L. The independent soul. That's the only thing that's totally independent. It comes from God, and in due time and season, to God is where it shall return. It's not contingent. It's not dependent on anything other than that. So we're going to be talking about that today, guys. And we're going to be talking about how this soul, this independent soul, is 100% immortal. It's an immortal soul. We're going to be breaking this down, guys. I'm going to try and be real brief. I know you guys are out there enjoying your 4th of July, things of that nature. So I'm going to be giving my philosophical view on something right here. And what I love about philosophy, experiential philosophy, is the brand of philosophy that's provided by this ministry. But one thing about philosophy, typically as a whole, is that it can't be proven right and it can't be proven wrong. So your thoughts, your opinions, your philosophies are just as right or just as wrong as mine. It can't be proven. So I'm going to be giving my philosophical take on this segue, if you will, this doorway that leads to a little bit deeper into today's topic. And that is, not everyone has a soul. Not everyone has a soul. Now, again, my philosophy about it, my teachings, my research, my study, my prayer, my experience, all falling up under the umbrella of what's downloaded to me personally from this thing that we call God, infinite intelligence, first cause, prime source, whatever you want to refer to it as. A person's soul, or the soul, is just like, character. It's like wisdom. It's like knowledge. It's like understanding. These things have to be built. We're born with a spirit. And this spirit is what we were, to throw a loose characterization out there. This spirit that we're born with, it's just like antennas. If you guys are old enough, you know that back in the day you had to have an antenna on your car, even to get your radio station, on your TV to get your TV stations. You have to have an antenna. So the spirit is just some elements within us, within our spiritual DNA as human beings, all of us, born with the spirit, these antennas, to where we can connect with the ether / the spiritual realm / God, whatever you want to call it. That's all the spirit is. It allows us, it provides us the benefits to tune in into the ethers. So we all are born with a spirit, but not everyone is born with a soul. We're going to talk about there's a small group of people that are born with souls, and there's a larger group of people that are not born with souls and have zero potential to even develop a soul. Just like, well, we'll get into it, but I'll give you an example. Just like a mentally, if you're pardon the characterization, a mentally impaired person, they lack the ability to really, really build wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, because there's an impairment there. There's an impediment there. So we'll get into that a little bit later in this message as well. But again, a soul is just like wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. These things have to be built. And just like character, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, the more and more you build these things, the more stronger they become. So say, for example, as it relates to the soul and someone having a little bit of character. Now, some people, and I get it, some people say, no, that's not true. Brother Minister Mongoose, either you got character, either you got morals and integrity, or you don't. And I get that point of view. And yet the fact remains, as in my observation of it all, pardon me, is that some people do have some elements, some parts of morals, integrity, and character, and they hold firm to them. But only in situations and circumstances, say if a bag of money is offered, a promotion, a spouse, a chance to sleep with someone, a chance to get a career, whatever, then they sacrifice, then they bend, then they negate. They turn a blind eye on their character, wisdom, etc., etc. So the more a person study, research, and things of this nature, just like they're building their knowledge, their wisdom, their understanding, the more a person goes through trials, tribulations that require them to assess themselves, to assess how well or how hurtful that may have been to others, to be willing to make changes, to be able to suffer and endure, make mistakes, and then continue to push forward like, okay, man, that was horrible. Even if that was horrible and it wasn't a one-time thing, I or you or someone else was doing this horrible thing over and over again. But eventually it was made known to them that that's a horrible thing. And regardless of how long they struggled to actually get that totally corrected, they still was putting in the work to get it corrected. Every time you go through these kinds of different stages and phases, you are provided with the opportunity, just like reading, studying, etc., building your knowledge, building your understanding. You are building your soul by way of some of the things that I just mentioned. And that's just a crash course on how a person is provided with the opportunity to build, to create and build their soul. Because a lot of people have this potential. Some people have zero potential. And even a smaller part of people are just naturally, a smaller percentage of people are just naturally born with a God-given soul, but they too have to go through this awakening, etc., etc., etc. We'll break that down here in just a bit as well. But it's important that we know, and we'll talk about this a little bit further right here, right now, before we get into the fact that your soul is independent. It's not contingent upon your finances. It's not contingent. It's totally independent. It's between you and God, not what the world says, not what you think about yourself. It's between you and God. Not even your mistakes. You still have the opportunity to build this soul, and it's totally independent, strictly being between you and God. Now, who can interfere with God? Is that if that isn't sovereign, I don't know what is. Totally independent, and the opportunity, the relationship that you have between Him, and the opportunity to build and create and nourish that soul is between you and God. So, but right now we're going to talk about the people who aren't even born with the potential to create a soul. Some don't have the potential, guys. They don't have the internal ingredient profile that's required to make a soul. Some of these ingredients, we're going to talk about these people that I'm talking about, this, by comparison, this small group of people who don't even have the capacity, nor even the interest for that matter, to build a soul, to create a soul by way of this thing that we call God. Because it's not like we're just creating a soul in and of ourselves. Yes, it's learning from our mistakes and having to deal with heartache, headaches, whether it's levied upon us or whether we cause it to others, and then we have to struggle to make our own mistakes, to clear up our own mistakes, etc., etc. Whether it's either way, it's God's work. But some people don't have the internal ingredient profile. You may say, well, what is this internal ingredient profile? Remember, I talked about the spirit, and we all have these antennas, if you will, to connect to the spirit realm, but not all of us have a soul. In order for a person to build a soul, if they are amongst the people who the overwhelming majority of people, remember there's a small group which I'll talk about that wasn't born with a soul and don't have the potential to even build a soul. And then there's a huge amount of people that have the potential to build a soul. They have the internal ingredients, which I'll mention here in just a second. And then you got this small, tiny group over here that was just born with a soul, but still have to go through the brutality and the extremes and the heartaches, the headaches, the gauntlet of awakening to the fact that they have a soul and they are, just what we would call probably the 144,000 is what most people would call this particular group that I'm referring to. But in order for a person to actually build their soul, which the overwhelming majority of people on the planet have the capacity, they have the internal ingredient profile to build their soul. But it starts with you being able, just like making a cake, just like making a cake, you need certain ingredients. So empathy is one of them. Some people they didn't get that chip. They wasn't born with that chip. It can't be created. It can't be developed. It can't be worked on. I mean, they could kill, rob. They could just do all kinds of hardship, cause all kinds of chaos. And it's like a big empty hole running straight through the middle of them. To borrow one of my favorite phrases, it's a big empty, to borrow a phrase from someone else, that's one of my favorite phrases. But there's like a big empty hole running straight through the middle of them where they can't steal enough, kill enough, hurt enough, rape enough, cause enough pain for them to ever even feel it, for them to ever even sit down and say, you know what, wow, this is horrible that I'm doing this to this person. They just don't have that chip. And again, some of us have done horrible things to people, and we've done these things over an extended period of times. But eventually we woke up. We woke up and we said, wow, you know what? Now that I think about it, and regardless of what horrible looks, whatever, regardless to how that fits in your situation and circumstances, maybe it was just talking about somebody. Maybe it was just being mean. Maybe it was just denying people, whatever. And of course, there's definitely some extreme examples of horrible. But some of us have done these things, and we've done these things for an extended period of time. But then when we woke up, that's that internal ingredient that begins to percolate within you. It's there, that chip, that empathy, where you start saying, you know what, hold on a second. This is totally, I'm just a turd for doing this. And you set out on a course correction. But again, the people that I'm talking about now that don't have the potential to even create a soul, they don't have this empathy. They can just kill and rape and beat and slaughter and do all these things until the cows come home, and much, much further beyond that, infinitely do these things and never stop to say, wow, it's not right of me to be doing that. So you have to have empathy. Let me try and speed this up real quick, guys, because I'm already at 20 minutes, 19 really. Real quick. So you got to have an ingredient profile. This ingredient profile consists of empathy. You got to be able to be self-reflective. You got to be able to be self-reflective. You know what? Am I really working as hard as I can? Or am I just doing the bare minimum and then blaming the world? Blaming gas prices or whatever it is. You got to be self-reflective. Did that person really deserve that? Did I overreact? What am I doing here? Some people don't have this ability. They're not born with that chip either. They don't have the ability to be self-reflective and say, you know what? I'm in this situation, and regardless of how bitter or saddening it might be, I played a role in this. Whether if you stayed on that job, for 30 or 40 years, and now you mad because they keep skipping over you and giving a promotion to somebody else. When you look back, as wrong as that may be, when you look back, you got to realize, you know what? I had several years, several opportunities to exit stage left. I could have went on to this company. This company offered me an out. They offered me a severance pay. I declined. I chose to stay. Be self-reflective. Some people don't have that chip. Some people don't have the ability, and this is a crucial one, as all of these are incredibly crucial. And these are the ingredients profile that most people, or this small group of people that I'm talking about who can't create a soul, they just don't have, an overwhelming majority of people have. Now, whether or not they choose to move towards those things, that's their choice. Again, that's that independent soul between that possibly or potentially connects between, that exists between them and what we call Heavenly Father. But some people also don't have the ability to forgive. You ever met these kind of people? They got burdens they've been carrying around like an elephant on their back. Not no monkey on their back, like an elephant on their back. They're still pissed off at the grade school teacher because they didn't let them go out for recess, even though they got an A on their score, on their test score. These people are just can't forgive. What a horrible fate that must be, to not be able to forgive somebody. To stay mad, to stay bitter, to stay angry, to stay pissed off, to remain retaliatory and vindictive and sad and hurt, all these forever. They don't have the ability to forgive. When you forgive somebody, guys, and I'm sure you know this, when you forgive somebody, it's not for the person that's wronged you, it's for you. So you can get over that hurt, that pain, learn the lesson, and get over it. You forgive that person for you. That don't mean you have to fuzzy up with that person because you forgave them. But some people don't even have the ability to forgive. Let me try and speed this up, guys. And of course, people, this small group of people, again, which I'll get into a rough layout of the numbers of these different categories of people that I'm referring to when it comes to those that are born with a soul, those that don't have the potential to even create a soul, and those who do have the potential. I'll break that number down here shortly, or I'll present a rough draft, or most commonly related to graft, if you will. But then, of course, most people don't have the moral or the spiritual integrity. Well, I'm saying most people, but I'm talking about, let me correct myself, the small percentage of people that lack the ability to even create a soul in the first place. Again, as I mentioned, not only do they lack the potential and the ingredients, they also lack the interest. Like, they are so addicted to their misery, but that's another story. They just want to remain there. They're not interested. And it's almost like they realize they don't have the potential. Like, they just said, okay, well, whatever. So these people, they lack, of course, spiritual morality and spiritual integrity. And what I mean by that is these are the people that you come across like they never have permanent friends, or they never have permanent enemies. All they have is permanent interest. And if they got to be a friend one day, an enemy next day, enemy to this person, and then a friend to that person, or a friend of, as long as their interest is, they're pursuing their interests, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies. They'll sleep with the enemy. They'll do whatever to assist the enemy in order for them to pursue that interest. And they'll cross out friend, family, pastor, minister, child, dad, parent, to meet that interest. So these are the people that they lack. Again, they lack that. They lack that internal ingredient profile, and they could never build a soul because they don't have the ingredients, those ingredients that are required to build a soul. Most people do. These people that I'm talking about that don't, they are what we would call spiritually barren or spiritually impotent. So a woman that just can't give life, or can't create life within her, and a man that can't put life in her, he's impotent, she's barren. They just can't do it. They just don't. There's something missing inside of them. So these people, that just is what it is. You can't make a crooked branch straight. And these are, you can't make a wheat into a tare. You can't make a tare into a wheat. It's just the way that it is. The good books refers to it like, hey, you are, obviously I'm not talking about, my true supporters, but the good book says you or they are of their father, the devil. This says it right there. They're totally different from the people who have the potential, at least, and from the people who are naturally born with a soul. So let me give you that number breakdown real quick. The people that are born with a soul, the people who, as soon as the close shows us, they got a direct return ticket back to source, back to this thing we call infinite intelligence, whatever you want to call it. At the moment the show closes, that's where they go to. Bam. They're born with this soul. End of story. Forget about it. Full stop. Now they do, as I mentioned, have to go through the same brutality of awakening. A lot of these people are just like some of the people in the scriptures. So a lot of these people, the 5% that I'm talking about, that are born with souls, that are going straight back to the source, their soul is pure. It's not about them having to build it. They just have to simply awaken to it and then let this independent thing that we call God, totally independent, do what it needs to do in divine timing for them. But in terms of their soul continuing to awaken. So 5% of the people are born like this. They have a soul, that's it. Nothing else really needs to be said about that. I believe I was getting ready to say yes. They have to go through mistakes, heartache, headache, just like most of the people and a lot of people in the Bible, whether it's, we know Moses was a murderer, we know Mary Magdalene was a prostitute, we know the disciples were all poor, had no money, we know Christ himself, at one point was homeless. So they have to go through these brutal seasoning of awakening. Maybe they've done a lot of hurt, maybe they had a lot of hurt done to them, or maybe both. They inflicted a lot of hurt, and a lot of hurt was inflicted upon them, but they had to go through this process of just awakening. So that's 5% of the people. The 10% of the people that are the people that I just mentioned that don't have no potential to make a soul, period. We already talked about them. And then 85% of the people on this planet have the potential to build their soul by way of the processes that I just mentioned, going through, different phases of their awakening, that little call, what the good book refers to, many are called, few are chosen. So these 85%ers, pardon me, they all at some point get that call. They say, hold on, wait a minute. I'm living wrong. These beliefs that was given to me were not genuine. They weren't true. They were false. The way that I'm living, the way that I'm treating people, the things that I believe life is all about, the government, so-called conspiracy theories. They get that call that says, okay, here you go. You can wake up and face this truth. And unbeknownst to them, every time they face that truth, make a change or step forward in terms of research, study, self-development, et cetera, et cetera. Once they start taking those steps forward, then they are building their soul. Unbeknownst to them, this is what they're doing. And a lot of people, again, as I mentioned, sometimes they'll start the journey. Just like a lot of people go to college, and they go to college, they do 1 year, and they just wild out. They party their way right on back out of college. And then some people go to college and it's too disciplined. They've been in high school and grade school all their life. Now they don't have their parents around. They don't have the discipline. They quit. Some people go there and they'd be like, you know what, this is too weird, man. It's these kinds of people here, that kind of people here. I'm on this kind of schedule. My classes ain't lining up. They're not really all that interesting. And they quit. And you got very few people that just keep going. They push through. And that's the difference between the called and the chosen. The one that keep going, they continue to clear all the hurdles in terms of refining what it is that he sets before them to refine. Their attitude, their conduct, the truth about the world, the government, religion, whatever he opens their eyes to is presenting them with an opportunity to develop, to nurture and grow a soul through this thing called God. Now, regardless, the human soul, once it's developed, and again, some people are born with this, we already talked about that, but once this soul is awakened, it's eternal. It's immortal. And it's 100% independent, because it's not dependent on the economy. It's not dependent on relationships. That gas that I mentioned, that gas cannot be there. The economy could crash. The relationships could fall down. Their soul is still there. It's totally independent. It's between that person and God. And it is immortal. So you can, the person that has a soul, you can break his or her body. You can strip them of everything. It ain't going to affect their soul. Not in a negative way, not in terms of, well, their body is broke, so now that brought their soul down some. It can only build and verify and confirm to them that they have a soul. So nothing negative can come about in terms of their soul being diminished. What being diminished once it's been awakened, activated, etc., etc. And I mean that, like literally, you could break their body. You could literally break their body. You could strip him or her of everything. But you can't kill his or her soul. Because again, it wasn't built on anything that's dependent on outside factors. It's immortal. It's eternal. It's between him and God. You can't break their soul. You know, it wasn't built in the world. It wasn't built on the tankers coming over and putting food on the food shelf. It wasn't built on, the job or the money or the reputation or the political influence. It wasn't built by the world. It was built through a spiritual process. This spiritual process of going through these changes, going through these hardships, going through these headaches, going through these mistakes, going through all the trials and tribulations. This is the only true independence, guys. This is the only true independence. And the fact of the matter is, your soul is 100% totally immortal and totally independent. Independent as it relates to you, and of course this thing we got. I'm going to presume it's safe for me to presume that you already know that. Or you already know that that's what I'm referring to. But you can bury this guy or girl. You can beat them. You can break every bone in their body. You could take away from them everything that they love, and you could pound their name and their reputation into the dust. But their soul will never die. And their soul will never be dependent on those things. The soul is just going to keep right on going. And if anything, it'll continue to grow and be made that much more strengthened and refined. The strength of the soul was never built on comfort, but rather it was forged in chaos. In the midst of the world and all of the 10 percenters and all those inside the box thinkers who oftentimes are under the spell of the 10 percenters, all of them set out to destroy the soul. They know the threat of this soul. This soul can influence these 85 percenters for them to inspire them to do their hard work, to lead the way and saying, the ridicule, the mocking, the mistakes, the hardships, the headaches. Your soul ain't depending on that. Here's how you live. Here's how you walk. Here's how you treat each other. Here's how you stand up for yourself. Here's how you stay humble. Whatever. And so the 10 percenters have, unfortunately, the 85 percenters, or the overwhelming majority of the 85 percenters, under the spell of the 10 percenters, and the 85 percenters, lash out just like the 10 percenters. So the soul, again, it wasn't built in comfort. It was built in chaos. So if you're out there, guys, and you're going through these trying times and these trying seasons, let this message nourish you. Let this message remind you that your goodness, your zest, your zeal, your love, your confidence, your faith, your joy, it's not dependent on any of these things. It's totally independent. Your soul and everything that having a soul brings, it's independent, 100% independent and 100% immortal. You know, when they spread the lies, you know, when they recruited their flying monkeys to help them out in their attacks, you know, when they excommunicated you, when they boycotted your business, you know, when your long-term friends walked out right when you needed them the absolute most, and when your family members sold you out, your soul was being awakened, activated, created, strengthened, nourished, revitalized, refined, and brought online. Either or all of those things, depending on if you were born with a soul, if you're one of the 5%ers, or if you are one of the 85%ers that continue to go through the hard work. When all of those things were going on, this was what was taking place with your soul. Again, it was being awakened or activated or created, strengthened, nourished, revitalized, and definitely brought online. You were being brought into the realization that the you that matters most, this eternal, immortal you, is totally independent. That's what independence is. Because anything could happen. Your soul gonna be intact. So if you got any value out of today's message, man, please hit the share button, man. Somebody might really be needing to hear this, man. And when you're walking through there and you're wondering why people just don't get it and why people you just minding your business and you see these people are fixated on you. These people are obsessing over you. Anything they can do to irritate you, agitate you, cause you to enter into self-doubt. Why is this? It's because they can sense, they can feel the presence that you have a soul and that your soul is immortal and independent of all of that nonsense. You don't need any of that nonsense. And yes, we all want rules over our head. We want to put our kids through college. You know, we all want to get married, you know, save money, go on vacations and all these type of good things. But your soul is not dependent on that. And the dark seekers can sense that, particularly the 10%ers. And this is why they spend all their time trying to manipulate the 85%ers to see you in a certain light and to keep the 85%ers going that way and not looking at you and saying, okay, hold on a second. There has to be a better way. And that guy, that girl, that high priest, that high priestesses is leading the way. So guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm at 38 minutes, man. 38 minutes. Let me get out of here, man. Listen, if you want some information about the ministry, man, how this ministry can be of assistance to you, please watch a video that's titled MBS Service Tutorial. If you have any questions about the services, reach out to the ministry. I'd love the opportunity to speak with you. If you'd like to schedule your initial consultation and evaluation in any or all of the services that are provided by this ministry, reach out. Also, please visit the physical fitness branch of the ministry located at mountfitnessmbs.com. Please, again, if you got any value out of today's message, hit the share button. And if the Holy Spirit moved you, then also hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to the channel if you aren't already subscribed, and hit the bell icon if you'd like to receive notifications when I upload a new message. And if you'd like to make a monetary donation to show your generosity or your support for this ministry, then I'm going to leave a Cash App link down in the description box. Remember, no amount is too small, whether it's $1, whether it's $100, whether it's several $100s, whatever the case may be. It's not the thought that counts. I'm sorry, it's not the amount that counts, it's the thought that counts. And he sees your heart. And he also is aware of your wallet, man. So give according to your heart, give according to your wallet, and let the Spirit guide you. But whatever good seeds you plant into this ministry, you will receive an abundant harvest, shaken down, pressed together, and running over. That's not my word, that's his word. You guys know it, so receive that by faith. And can you do me a favor also, guys? Please watch a video that's titled My Testimony and Disclosure. That's going to tell you about the ministry, but it's going to put some very important information out there, relevant information about myself, the origins of the ministry. But more importantly, it allows me the opportunities to give him his just due glory, his just due thanks, and just to pass the word and say, hey man, he's real. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here. Totally wouldn't be here, period. So watch that video as well, guys. Hit the email link if you have any follow-up questions. Again, if you want to schedule your initial consultation and evaluation of any of the services. But it's important that you know, guys, that your soul is independent. Your love, your joy, everything that a soul brings, your wisdom, your knowledge, your understanding, your self-development, your self-improvements by way of this thing called God, your charisma, your confidence, your humbleness, your tolerance, your patience, your joy, your forgiveness. These things are independent of the world. They're totally independent. That's between you and God. And it's totally immortal. It will never, ever die. That's what I got for you guys. Hey man, look, reach out if I can be of assistance to you. Remember, it's a mind, body, and spirit ministry. You have been anointed to make sure that regardless of what's going on, your mind, your body, and your spirit remains beautiful, healthy, and vibrant. And this ministry has been anointed to help you achieve such a goal. Reach out if I could be of service to you. Thank you guys so very much for all of the love and all of the support. I will see you guys in the next one. I am Brother Minister Mongoose, and I will holla back. Peace.